Moments ago, the Senate rejected the War Powers resolution. The vote, 53-47. I'm joined now by Marc Caputo. He covers the White House for Axios and put out exclusive reporting earlier this week on President Trump's conversation prior to the war with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Marc, I'm a big fan of your work. Tell me about this story.
I think we could say that the answer to why now, why on Saturday began the Monday before, February 23rd. Benjamin Netanyahu called the president. President of the United States, Donald Trump. They had a situation room conversation, a secure conversation where Netanyahu informed him on Saturday, the Saturday that they wound up bombing, the Ayatollah and his leading figures in his inner circle were going to be meeting and were an available target. And over the next week, Donald Trump's CIA checked it out. And once the word came back on Thursday that indeed the targets were going to be meeting then on Saturday, Trump gave the go-ahead on Friday, and the rest is history.
I want to quote from the piece directly, and we'll put the full screen up. It answers the question that lawmakers, MAGA skeptics, and world leaders have all been asking since Saturday. Why now, which you just referred to, Marc? The answer, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and his inner circle were irresistible targets of opportunity that neither Trump nor Netanyahu wanted to pass up. Why was he an irresistible target that neither leader would pass up?
In the case of Trump, he's sort of halfway advocating for regime change. He's asking the people of Iran to do it. But in order to do that, you have to decapitate the head of the regime, and that was the Ayatollah. Now, in the case of Benjamin Netanyahu, he's been advocating for this for months. And only recently did the Trump administration come around to the idea that if this target of opportunity were presented, that the United States would take it, and they did.
And now that that's happened, and you have accurately described it, Marc, the administration is sort of half in, half out on whether or not this was a regime change war. But clearly the regime is in the process of being changed into what we don't know. Based on your reporting, was there any weighing or analysis of what might come next if this attack, which they were led to believe would be successful, in fact was successful?
I can speak in generalities, which is that in all of these circumstances, the Pentagon and the CIA have dozens, hundreds, scores of plans, counter plans, measures and countermeasures, if-thens. And so all of that was allegedly, and we were told, weighed, and the president decided to do what he did. Now, that having been said, this is an operation of scope and scale that people in 2024, when they elected Donald Trump, probably didn't expect. But Trump and his White House are saying he's always been against Iran getting a nuclear weapon, always been essentially against Iran and the mullahs, the leadership of Iran. And therefore, it's consistent with how he's always been. That having been said, it's a pretty big operation. And these various considerations, including what you're hearing a lot about as of late, which is the United States missile stockpile, and specifically its interceptors, which are able to shoot down other missiles and other planes and Predator drones and the like, or better said, the Reaper drones that Iran manufactures. They are being fired at a rapid rate, but according to the president, according to the Pentagon, there are enough there. Critics, however, are saying quite the opposite.
It's pretty obvious that the United States and Israel were highly confident about this particular nugget of intelligence. Does that suggest to you, Marc, that either the Israelis or the U.S. or possibly both had more than satellite they had eyes on?
Oh, they clearly did. There's been some reports that Israeli intelligence had even tapped into some of the cameras on the streets of Tehran. Israeli intelligence is known for having this sort of penetration in various places and various levels in Iran. And again, this was brought to the United States' attention by Netanyahu and by his intelligence services. The CIA checked it out, and they have the capacity to do that, and they decided it was okay to go forward.
Marc Caputo, I've got 20 seconds. What are you watching for in the next 24, 72 hours?
I think we're watching for the Kurds in northern and western Iran. We had reported also that Donald Trump, after the war, or better said, after the war began, spoke to two Kurdish leaders, which was subsequently borne out by other reporters. Right. And the president is interested in whether or not they can constitute some sort of boots on the ground force. Doesn't mean that we're necessarily supporting them in that way, but it looks like they're working closely with Israel in that regard. We'll see what happens.
That is very important stuff. Keep an eye on the Kurds. Marc Caputo, thank you.